realize you were good?
I got signed when I was 14 years old. Fight for You is what was happening then is so similar to what's happening today. With social media, we're focusing on the wrong things. We started listening with our eyes instead of our ears. My music got her through her pregnancy. I was like, Janet Jackson, what?
Now, I know you've written about love. Do you feel like you've been deep in love before?
Come between your love.
Hey family, you know what time it is. It's time for the Carlos Watson Show. And today, we're not messing around. Gonna get right down to it because we got one of the hottest stars currently walking on the planet today. Now, she just picked up the Academy Award for Best Original Song at this year's Oscars. She's already won a bunch of Grammys, and now she's here to talk about her life, her career, and so much more. You know who I'm talking about, a very special woman. You got her on the Carlos Watson Show.
The Carlos Watson Show is brought to you by American Family Insurance.
Hey there.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Hey, tell me what is going on, because we had Sweetie stop by the show a couple months ago, and I feel like there's a Black Filipina thing happening right now. There may be like a moment. Is that true, do you think?
I know it's my moment. I know it's her moment, and we represented for the Black and Filipinos from the Bay.
Now, you got a whole bunch of fans here who told me the first thing I have to ask you is sinigang or adobo?
Oh, okay. Oh, man. That's a hard one. Probably sinigang.
And has that always been the choice, or has that choice evolved as you got older?
I think that's always been my choice. I love the eggplant and the spicy, sweet kind of soup. We are going to say yeah on three, okay? Because we in the Bay. 1, 2, 3. Yeah!
Writer, producer, and arranger who recently collaborated with Fender to make her own guitar, the H.E.R Stratocaster. Ladies and gentlemen, H.E.R.
Oh, I wish there was a right way. I'm caught between your love and a hard place.
Greatly goes to H.E.R.
Oh, yeah.
I can't breathe, H.E.R.
The Oscar goes to H.E.R, Dance Jamil. Fight for You, Judas and the Black Messiah.
I was so happy for you when I saw that you won, and so congratulations on that. How did you get involved in the movie? Did they come to you?
Judas and the Black Messiah, Archie was working on the soundtracking with Shaka King and everybody at the movie, and they called me, said, we really want you to make the theme song for this movie, and I was like, oh, I would love to. I didn't know much about Fred Hampton. I knew the name. I knew, of course, of the Panthers being from the Bay Area, but I didn't really know. So then I watched the movie. I learned so much. I was like, oh my gosh. The fact that I didn't know this and the fact that it's not even taught in schools was just so sad to me. So I was really excited to be part of it. I felt like it was such an important film. And when they called me, I literally said, I feel like I could make a masterpiece.
We could never lose. Never. Always fight for you.
I went in the studio, watched the movie, and created the song and kind of just thought about all the themes of it. I was listening to Marvin Gaye, I was listening to Curtis Mayfield, all my favorites, Sly Stone, or There's a Riot Going On, and all those songs, and kind of really got into the vibe and the melody, and just thought about how what was happening then is so similar to what's happening today. And Fight for You was just the theme. I felt like, continuing to fight, for those back.
I don't plan on getting no sleep while we doing our thing, moving too fast. Candy paint with the windows all black, seats creme brulee. What they gon' say? With the top down, screaming money, anything. We up till 6 in the morning. When the sunrise, we'll be on it. Oh, I got 5, it's all live. Tell me when to go, baby, when we gon' slide, baby, when we gon' slide. Hey.
So how did you get into music? Were you one of those kids, Michael Jackson style, who was like singing at 3, 4, 5?
Yeah, I definitely was one of those kids. I used to perform a lot when I was young. you know, music was kind of just a given for me. My dad, he had a cover band in the Bay Area, and they used to rehearse in our living room. Then I was there and kind of soaked it all in and went to the mic during the breaks and was sitting on his lap when he was playing piano. He showed me how to play the blues on guitar. And, you know, when he played Musicology by Prince, I wanted to get up on the drums, and I learned that, you know, very young.
And when did you realize you were good?
You know, I got signed to MBK RCA when I was 14 years old. So it was kind of like, oh, well, you know, maybe I could really do this. But I was just a regular kid.
Some people want time and rigs, some just will never rethink, but everything means nothing if I ain't got you, yeah.
So how did you end up with Her? What made you move your name to that?
I actually wrote a song called Her when I was in high school. But I mean, basically, I wanted my project to be called Her, and I wanted to just have a silhouette as the cover for people to not know my name and not know anything about me. I really wanted the music to shine. I felt like with social media, it just felt like we were getting caught up in focusing on the wrong things, you know, and I think we started listening with our eyes instead of our ears. So, you know, me and my team, we kind of got together, and it was like, oh, you know what? I should just be her. I'm gonna just be her. I think the music is the message.
We could have been, and we try to pretend every now and again. We don't dream about, don't think about.
How did you decide to do H.E.R?
I thought it should be an acronym for having everything revealed, just because, you know, I have everything revealed in the music, you know, without really knowing anything about me at all.
I love that you did that. Do you think that is maybe in a weird way led more people to follow you and to reach out?
I guess a lot of people were, you know, intrigued because they heard the music but couldn't put a face to the music, and I think we tend to want to do that. So it just was me, you know, kind of going against the grain and wanting people to just listen. Like, you have no choice but to just listen.
And what do you just listen to when you're just sitting back and enjoying?
You know, it can go from, you know, the Migos to Donny Hathaway to Led Zeppelin to Coldplay to Rihanna to Alicia Keys. You know, there's really no boundaries. You know, I love jazz. I love African music. I love all kinds of things. My playlists are a melting pot.
And what about performers? Who would you like to go to their concert?
Prince is probably one of my biggest influences as far as a performer. Like, to me, he's the greatest.
Any of your contemporaries impress you, or do you learn stuff from?
Anderson .Paak and Bruno Mars and their whole thing that they got going on right now with Silk Sonic. I think Anderson .Paak is probably #1 as far as live performers. He's incredible.
Our home is the training ground for her dreams policy. Insure carefully. Dream fearlessly.
Now, were you an introvert growing up or extrovert?
I think I've kind of been an introverted extrovert. I've always been really different. I've never really been shy, but I always kind of was low key, you know, just a person who doesn't need the most attention in the room, but, you know, you feel my presence.
When did people start in school knowing that you were starting to break? Because I assume at that point, people started treating you maybe a little bit differently.
When I dropped Volume 1, it was after I graduated high school. So it was 2016, I graduated high school in 2015. But, you know, people always knew that I was a musician. They always knew I was gonna do big things, and they always believed in me.
Were you doing talent shows or anything like that?
I was actually like the musical director for my middle school talent show, and I was like playing piano behind everybody. And I just saw a tweet recently. Somebody was like, I'll never forget when H.E.R played piano for me and sang backgrounds for me at the talent show in middle school.
Who are some of the other young musicians, though, who you've gotten to know?
Dylan Wiggins, who's Dwayne Wiggins' son from Tony Tone. We used to be in a band together. We used to perform together when we were really, really young. And Kehlani actually was in our band. Yeah, and we all used to sing together. And Zendaya was going to be in it at one point. But yeah, they all grew up together. And I came into the picture, you know, in Oakland. And we used to perform together.
That would have been a crazy band. Did RCA believe in you from the beginning? Have they been with you all the way through?
Absolutely. Everybody around me, they're all my day ones. They're like my family.
That is so interesting because Beyonce's mom was telling me that she got like dropped from her first label and was bouncing around and people had all these doubts.
I'm not going to say there wasn't any adversity and there wasn't anybody doubting me, you know, and that there wasn't struggles. There's always been, you know, somebody out there thinking, oh, she's, you know, shelved or she's never coming out, you know, because I was signed at 14. I didn't come out until I was almost 20. But if I'd listened to them then, I wouldn't be where I am today. My mom, who's my biggest supporter, who, you know, at one point was kind of pressuring me to go to college to try to figure it out. You know, there was like that point after high school, like, am I going to do this 100% or am I going to just, you know, go to college and kind of do the regular thing? And I made that decision, like, no, I need to be in this 100%. I always trusted my path.
Why do you think you've been able to have that kind of, that serenity, that peace, that ability to believe in yourself?
I think it's God, honestly. I've always been a strong believer in intuition and listening to my gut, but also I have to give it to the people around me. Everybody around me has made sure I always stay true to who I am. Everybody around me reminds me who I am, and that's very rare. I think that's God putting people in my life to protect me because I think I have a greater purpose. I think it's greater than anything that I, you know, could imagine. My passion and who I am, my art is just a vessel. And it's just the catalyst of what it is that I'm really here to do. I truly believe that. So knowing that, you know, there's nothing that can take me away from where I need to be and where I need to go.
Say more about that because that is a beautiful thing. How do you think God is going to use you?
You know, I'm only 23 and it's crazy how much I've accomplished thus far, but it's just the beginning. You know, I've fell into things and, you know, writing a song like I Can't Breathe during the summer last year when there were George Floyd protests going on, something that just came from my heart and came from just a conversation, not realizing that, you know, somebody would think differently because they heard the song or that they would be crying to it or that it was the soundtrack to somebody's march. And I think that's the beauty of music. I don't know. I think whatever it is, you know, I'm ready for it. Hopefully changing the world, changing the way that people see or feel music, write music, that people see women, you know, young Black women, you know, giving voice, I think, to the voiceless.
I can't breathe. You're taking my life from me. I can't breathe. Will anyone fight for me?
Hey, what did you think of last year and everything that happened in terms of Black Lives Matter? Did you come out of that feeling like real change is going to happen?
I felt hopeful. I already knew, you know, we had a lot of work to do. I think last year opened the conversation and made it even more uncomfortable, and we dug a little bit deeper because we had no choice and people felt guilty that they weren't part of the conversation, which I think is an important part of change, is that accountability. I know I'm doing my part and I know I'm holding people around me accountable to do their part. But at the end of the day, you know, we have to look inward. They say, you know, the revolution will not be televised. People really think that was literal, like it's on TV, but I think what he was really saying was the revolution will not be televised because it starts in the mind, and I think that's what we all need to think.
I wanna love you in every kind of way. I wanna please you no matter how long it takes.
Now, I know you've written about love. Do you feel like you've been deep in love before?
I'm only 23, you know, I don't know what that looks like.
But you know what? Something tells me that you're a romantic.
A hopeless romantic. It's because I'm so emotional and I'm in love with the idea of love and what love is. And I've had great examples in my life. It's not simple. I know that. It's not one thing. It's an action. It's layered. You know, it's many different things to many different people. And I think it's the foundation of who we are. God is love. I think it's not something you can really describe or say you felt. I think you just have to feel it and you have to go with it and understand it. It's impossible.
I don't go out much, but you should come through tonight. I'm chilling on the west side. Call my homegirl, tell your best friend you can slide too.
Do you ever get scared either stepping on stage or waiting to hear about something?
Never scared. Nervous, yes. I will never be afraid. I think I thrive and I yearn for challenges, and I yearn for that feeling of being uncertain or hope, more so hoping that things go well, hoping that I can achieve something. Nerves are healthy. I think it's important to have nerves. And I think even more now, because I haven't performed in a really long time, on like an actual show, like in a long time in front of an audience.
Do you like performing better, or do you like making music in a studio better? Where's your joy?
That's tough, because I miss the studio when I'm on the stage, but I miss the stage when I'm in the studio. It's two different modes for me, Creating is important. It's my space. I live to just write, to write down my thoughts and feelings, everything I've been through. And then performing it is creating an experience around all those thoughts and feelings and creating a moment and a vibe, having that platform to just perform and be me. It also feels like home.
Now, what do you do if you do have downtime away from music? What else do you enjoy?
I love nature. I love animals a lot. I have some pets. I'm a big adventure person, so I like to just do fun, crazy stuff like ATVs and stuff like that. My dad, he grew up in the South, so I'm always I was like his little boy, where we would go dirt bike riding and go fishing and stuff like that. So I'm literally like a tomboy in that way, where to this day I like doing all those things.
All right, now I'm a travel junkie, so I'm gonna have to ask you, where's the most beautiful place you've ever been?
Brazil is really amazing. I love Brazil. I love the vibe of Brazil. There's so many amazing places, but I think Brazil is like number one for me.
And in Brazil, did you go to Rio? Did you go to Bahia? Where did you go?
I went to Rio.
Nice.
I actually did Rock in Rio Festival. Yeah, it was amazing. It's definitely a vibrant place.
I love that you've been in different parts of the world and been able to perform and feel that vibe in different places.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely want to see more of the world, but I've been blessed to have, certain shows here and there. And I was able to go on a European tour a few years back. But yeah, I'm still checking off some of the lists of places.
All right, where do you want to go next?
Japan. I think Tokyo. I've been in Tokyo and I really loved it there. I could see myself living there. Africa is a place that I really want to go. I'm dying to go to Africa. I don't know, different parts of Asia that I haven't been, parts of South America. There's tons of places I need to go. There's still many parts of the world that I want to see, but I think traveling is important. I don't think it's encouraged enough. I feel like you appreciate so much more, about life, what you have. You don't take little things for granted after you travel.
At this point, you must have met all kinds of interesting people. Give me two of the most interesting celebrity encounters you've had.
Number one would probably be Janet Jackson. She came to my show in London and she wanted to see me perform, and that was like crazy. And she came backstage and everybody was like scrambling, like, act natural, oh my gosh. And everybody was just freaking out. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is Janet Jackson. She was saying that my music got her through her pregnancy. I was like, what? Janet Jackson? What? That was crazy. But actually, when I was 10 years old, I met Rodney Jerkins and I was at his studio, and we were leaving the studio. I believe it was just my mom and my dad in the car with me. And we drove to the end of the block of his studio, and we see him in the corner running down the street, and we're trying to figure out what's going on. And he put the phone in the car, he put the phone to me and said, somebody wants to talk to you. And it was Michael Jackson. And so when I was 10 years old, I got to talk to Michael Jackson. At the time, I guess he saw some videos of me. He was like, I think you're really talented and hope to meet you one day. And I never got to meet him in person, but I had that little moment of talking to him.
You have lived a life. I mean, for 23, you have packed some good stuff into your cart. Best advice you've ever gotten about dreaming fearlessly?
Best advice I've ever gotten about dreaming fearlessly? Trusting your instincts, trusting your gut. I had dreams and aspirations and I thought about where I wanted to be, but I was a regular kid at school, and just being able to play music and doing what I love, I didn't even think about it that much. It was like, this is it. This is who I am. And every opportunity I have to do it, I'm gonna do it. And, it took a lot of years of me just creating and learning and growing. I mean, I was 14 years old. I'm not the same person I was at 14, at 18, and 21, and now 23. And so, all those years I was just creating. And then Volume 1 happened in 2016, and I decided to just drop it. And we all decided, this was the time. And I'm all about, perfect timing and trusting the process. And yeah, the rest is history.
I want to finish with a little rapid fire.
Yeah, let's do it.
What's your favorite movie of all time?
Probably Purple Rain.
You wouldn't pass the initiation.
What initiation?
If you could have dinner with anybody, dead or alive, who would you have dinner with?
Michael Jackson.
Even those people who think they know you well, what would it surprise them to find out about you?
I'm like really in love with understanding history. I feel like I'm a historian. Maybe people don't know that about me.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Would you ever go into politics?
No, I don't think I would go into politics. But, you know, I feel like I would be a really good president. I feel like I would make a lot of changes, you know, but yeah, no.
If someone was gonna make the greatest meal of all time for you, what would be that meal and include dessert in it?
I'm such a foodie. You know, probably some like pasta, maybe some sweet plantains, and a little bit of soul food, some Filipino food, and anything with chocolate.
H.E.R, I so appreciate you coming on, and I so appreciate your good energy, and just congratulations again on the win.
Thank you so much.
H.E.R, True Thoughts, take one, marker.
I just wanted to highlight the scoreboard for adobo versus synagogue. Got Joe Coy, Saweetie, and H.E.R all down the synagogue.
She's like definitely an old soul, very deep. You know, she has so much depth to her, and the way she spoke was just, it made me think back to 23. Like, what is 23 supposed to look like? I don't think it's supposed to look like this.
I've seen some concert footage of her, and I saw her pull out a guitar. And she's talking about playing the piano. She's a real musician,
right?
Which is like that. I so respect it. There's a lot of people out there, especially like in rock or whatever, who they can play the guitar, they can play their 4 chords, you know, and that's it. But H.E.R is a real musician. And I just think that's great. So,
well, and she said she loved Prince, who also was a real musician,
yeah,
and knew lots of different instruments.
I nailed it, the fact that Prince was one of her main contributors. You can tell in her music. But one of the things she doesn't get enough credit for is she sponsors several youth music groups and buys them instruments and has for years in the open area. So she teaches classes for kids, and so she needs to get more credit for that.
Oh, that's beautiful. I like hearing that. Hey, that was H.E.R. I really hope you enjoyed her. What an impressive young woman. Just interesting inside and out. I really love the way that she's embraced her love of music, everything she got from her parents in terms of a love of good 70s music, Oakland and all the rest. What an amazing story about a young supergroup that almost formed with Kehlani and Zendaya and others. I love all of that, and I love her philanthropic side. I hope she stays true to that and so much more. All right, listen, as we say so long, please give it up to my good friends at Cariuma. Now, you know they've outfitted me in the coolest new shoes around all season long. In fact, guess what? Kids wearing a pair right now, and you can too. In fact, get yourself some by visiting Cariuma.com/Carlos. Make yourself happy. All right, thanks for watching. See you again next time.